How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today, we're going to talk about investing in the Metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg is investing billions into it, so should you. Today, we are joined by Iris, a dog. She is an Alaskan Klee Kai. Is my sister's dog. She likes to put her feet kind of like cross-legged like this. She kind of refuses to sit on this little weird one-seater because maybe there's two walls or something. So she'll take my place on this side and I'm gonna sit on this side today. This video is brought to you by the Moomoo app. You can get 5 free shares worth up to $3,500 each. One for opening up an account, so this costs you nothing. Deposit $1 and then you can get another free share. If you fund your account with $2,000 or more, you can get 3 free additional shares, each worth up to $3,500. Check out my referral link down in the video description below. There's an internal message board for employees only, and it's kind of like Reddit where you can upvote certain questions. One of the highest ranking questions is this: how could we avoid a dystopian reality where the metaverse is used as an opium for the masses? It's sad that this is true. If you look around, there is a lot of social media where people spend a crazy amount of time on it. If you have a cell phone where it tracks how much time you spend on each application, man, it's ridiculous how much any single person spends on any single day on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those social media things. It just draws you in, and then boom, before you know it, a few hours has gone by and you did nothing productive at all. You just kept on getting all these things fed into your brain, and then you don't even remember any of it really. Kind of like the weeping angels, where if you ever see them, you're automatically transported forward in time and you don't know what you did. So in a way, social media is like the weeping angels. This is like kind of dark. So what do you do with any new thing? I'm thinking about investing in it. This is probably investing in the Facebook stock, the FB ticker symbol. What do you actually do? You have to do your research behind virtual reality, augmented reality, and all those other things they're trying to meld together. The question here is, are they going to be successful? They're pouring billions and billions of dollars in it. If you think about the stage at which this is at, it's kind of like Tesla, but in the very early stages, before they have the Model S come out, or even before they have the Roadster come out. Except the situation's a little different because Facebook is an established company. They have a bunch of money coming in. So they have billions of funding just kind of behind this. It's almost like a brute force thing. You pour enough money in it, maybe it's gonna work. Investing in Metaverse or the associated companies that may join into this thing, people hear this and might think this is the next biggest thing and they just plop money right into it. But I am a little bit more skeptical of this. The stock right now is at $341. I remember back in around 2012 when it IPO'd, it was like $20 some dollars, $25. At the time, I have to admit, I didn't have very high faith in it. I thought, oh my gosh, $25? That's expensive. But of course, it's multiplied itself by 8 or 9 times since its IPO price. It doesn't go up very fast, but it's a very, very steady increase over these many years. Let's look at their annual revenues and profits. 21% year-over-year increase in revenue, 57% year-over-year increase in profits. That's a crazy amount of increase in profits, 50%. In 2021, they're gonna be earning about $110 billion in revenue, but this is all what they're currently doing with, Facebook, Instagram, all that. This is not in VR. This is just their established company so far. It's a great thing, of course, to have a company that's generating profits, and then you take some of those profits and reinvest it in something brand new. Maybe in the future, it's going to bear fruit, and then it's gonna generate them even more money. If it does this, of course, the stock price is going to increase even more. Keep in mind, Facebook, like a lot of other FAANG companies, they've been acquiring companies left and right. There's a huge list of more than 100 companies they've acquired already. This includes Oculus VR, WhatsApp, Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg has announced a name change from Facebook to Meta. It seems like now they're going to concentrate on creating a virtual world. They're going to spend about $10 billion this year, and in total, they estimate they're going to spend about $50 billion to achieve this goal. To really understand if this is going to pan out, you have to understand the challenges of VR right now. I've used these myself, and this is the HTC Cosmos Elite. This is quite chunky, and you put this on your head, and if there is rapid head movement, no matter how tight you put it on your head, it's gonna move around a little bit. This and other things gives rise to motion sickness when you are using these VR things. So right now, a huge challenge is actually for people to put these things on and feel comfortable for a long period of time. I personally cannot use this for more than, say, 30 minutes or 1 hour at a time. Whenever you see the motion does not correspond to how your body feels, because you could just be sitting down, but then your body is just kind of like being moved around all over the place in VR space. Another thing is the lag in the system itself, so they need faster and faster processors. They gotta make sure whenever you move your head just slightly, the screen gets updated almost immediately. There's also a thing called foveated rendering. It does some eye tracking. So they're gonna have like a camera right here looking at your eyeballs, and it's gonna track where you're looking at. Then it uses this information to only render that part where you're looking at with high detail, and everywhere else is a little bit less detail. When done correctly, you will not notice that there's a reduction in resolution. However, GPU power is going to be significantly reduced at a maximum of up to 10-fold decrease. So I think doing the foveated rendering is absolutely critical, unless you want to wait several generations out for the CPU or GPU to be able to render everything just fine. If you add in this technology, it's kind of like trying to get ahead of the CPU technology. This one in particular, they just render the entire field of view. Let's say I'm looking at Iris, right? I'm not looking at that wall over there directly, right? I'm staring over here. But within the VR goggles, they still have to render that. But you definitely don't have to render that in like full resolution, right? It just needs to be like a blob of stuff that's kind of white and just kind of approximate. Another issue is also the screen door effect. These might be nitpicky, but a lot of people do complain. It's basically a result of the low resolution of the screen that's inside these things. When you put it inside a headset and you magnify it so that it covers your entire field of view, it's not enough resolution for your eye. But this is the best they can do right now. If you increase the resolution, let's say 4-fold, right? It's gonna dramatically increase the GPU power that's needed. Right now, it's already state of the art, and they're already having a hard time rendering, whatever resolution is in these things. What does screen door effect look like? So every single pixel is generated by a couple of colors, right? Red, green, blue. Within the chip, they have to put them next to each other. And when they put them next to each other, it's gonna have like spaces where there are dead spaces and it doesn't actually transmit any light. So those dead spaces is gonna look like a grid. When you blow this up with the optics inside these headset, it's gonna look like a screen door. Inside the VR, when you put these things on, what does it really look like for those people that have never used it before? It's kind of like a spherical screen door with no frame or anything. Just think of a spherical screen that is attached to your head. Like, let's say it's attached on the back of your head, and this spherical bubble is just right there, like all across you. So as you move your head, the entire screen door bubble is gonna move with your head. For earlier version of these headsets, I'd say it's noticeable. For this one, it seems like as the resolution goes up higher, the screen door, it's finer in detail. So the screen door effect is a little bit less apparent. It's kind of like you going to the movie theater. When you're in the movie theater, you notice the seats, the speakers, right, that you're in a theater. But once you get immersed in it, you kind of forget about the screen door effect, right? And then you're just immersed in it. So it takes a little bit of believing and you wanting to believe, and then that's gonna go away. But whenever you just kind of step out of it and go, okay, I have a VR goggles on, you know it's there. If you look for it, it's gonna be there. It's always gonna be ever present. For GPU power to be powerful enough, it needs probably 2 or 3 more generations. So this is definitely gonna take longer than the 5-year time frame that Facebook has planned. I've mentioned before the headset weight here. You can see it's quite hefty, and it actually gets kind of uncomfortable if you wear it for a long period of time. Another thing is that this thing is not cheap. If you want to experience this, it's gonna be probably like $2,000 or $3,000 by the time you buy the computer, the GPU card that's necessary, this thing, and then all the sensors that goes with it. So not a lot of people is gonna go around trying these things, buying it for themselves at the home. In order for this to happen in the mass consumer market, they have to make this really, really cheap. Under $300 maybe, and it needs to include all the processing power. It needs to be, 1/3 the weight. Within the next 5 years, I am not certain if they can, get the technology to be sleek enough, to be fast enough. It's like a tiny bit too early. Maybe 10 years would be a good time frame. It needs a little bit longer. So they're really pushing the boundaries here. If they work fast, maybe, but you really have to wait for the Moore's law to catch up. Probably in 5 years, the technology would still be just at the starting point. When you invest in something like this, you have to think about the future. It's not certain right now. It's kind of like the early stages of Tesla. At the time, people are not certain that they can even make a car. At the time, they did have a CEO who has proven himself multiple times in many different companies that he was able to bring his magic and make things happen. But for Mark Zuckerberg, it's like a one-hit wonder so far, right? It's like one really, really successful company, and now it's still the same company, but then they're introducing a brand new product line here. Let me mention their competitors. They have Google, which made Google Glass that failed, and this is a really big company and they poured a lot of money into it, and even a really big company can fail. They also made a very, very cheap version of VR, which is cardboard, and they just put a phone into this thing and it kind of works. Of course, it has really low resolution because you're sticking your phone in there. Microsoft has HoloLens, which is more towards a enterprise grade thing. Apple actually has AR. If you get the iPhone 13 Pro, it has AR built in. If you ever go on Amazon, sometimes they have an AR option. You can actually look at a mouse in augmented reality. So you can place the mouse on some surface and then you can look at it, move the phone around and look at it in 3D. You can zoom in, zoom out. I think it's really cool. The point here really is that there are other companies looking at something similar, and like Apple, they have products out right now doing AR. There's also the Valve Index, which is $1,000. Magic Leap has an AR headset, although this is not really in the news or anything. It hasn't gone really popular. So here's my conclusion. I think this is actually a bit very, very early stage investing if you're going to invest in the metaverse, because it's not a proven thing yet. Of course, this is how you get the biggest gains, is if you invest in an unproven technology that somehow you have the foresight to know this is it, this is going to happen. And if it does happen, you're going to benefit greatly. Something like a 20 to 50x gain if you wait 10 years and then it actually happens. But with Facebook, it's a little different story here because they are a really big company already. If let's say they're correct and they make a whole bunch of money and people are using this as a platform in the future, let's say they make $100 billion a year. Right? They already make $50 billion a year. And if this comes true, you're only gonna 2 or 3x your money. There's no action items here. I am not actually gonna invest right away. My investing style is I don't want to put money in somewhere where it's essentially dead money. I want to put it in somewhere where I can see results within 6 months to a year or so. I'm going to wait, just kind of monitor the scene, monitor the entire thing to see where the industry is gonna go. Part of the reason why I get these things is to experience firsthand, because after I actually use this myself, I can tell, well, there's some ways to go for this technology. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. She's just sleeping. I think I talk way too much. Hey, oh, now you're sleeping again? Okay.